IT folks like to solve the problem. They like to just roll up their sleeves and fix what's broken. And Lean Six Sigma kind of forces you to think differently, stop, step back and really define what's going on.
Hi everyone, I'm Tracy O'Rourke.
And I'm Elizabeth Swan.
And we are from GoLean6Sigma.com, and you're listening to the Just in Time Cafe podcast, where we wrestle with tough questions, talk to thought leaders, discuss great books with authors, and get insights from Lean Six Sigma practitioners.
We let you in on helpful apps, bring you the news, and challenge the status quo so you can build your problem-solving muscles. You just discovered Marie Kondo and tidying up, didn't you?
Yes, I was asked to do a presentation combining KonMari, 5S, and how we can tidy up at work, and it was a lot of fun, and now I'm a Marie Kondo fan. Should we tidy up the cafe now?
Will it bring us joy?
Yes, it does spark joy for me to think about that. So what's on our menu today, Elizabeth?
Right, Tracy. For today's special, we've got your interview with Mojgan Amini, the Director of Process Management and Continuous Improvement at UC San Diego. For Survey Says, we'll reveal the results of what listeners like about the podcast and launch a poll about the people side of continuous improvement. For In the News, we're going to discuss our upcoming trip to Japan, the birthplace of Lean. And for Q&A, we'll wrestle with a question about how to bring process improvement to a non-Lean Six Sigma organization. It's a great day at the cafe, Tracy.
Woohoo! Remember to stay tuned for this month's coupon code in order to get a discount on GoLean6Sigma.com online training.
Let's get to the poll.
All right, the poll. So were you a little surprised about the poll results, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I was. This month we got feedback about listeners' favorite parts of the podcast, and we asked them basically, which segment do you like the most? And we forced them to choose just one. We know people have more than one thing they like about the podcast. We were kind of just forcing it into our classic Pareto. So these are the results. In the News, which is the published Lean Six Sigma applications out there in the world anywhere, that came in last, 5%.
What?
I know, so sad. Survey Says, which is this poll, right? Voice of the Customer polls, came in just a little better at 6%. So, and in a slightly meta aspect, this particular poll got the lowest input of all. I think it's just people are used to weighing in on Lean Six Sigma topics. So just them asking, hey, what do you like about us? That didn't get a lot of responses, but what we got was helpful. Appetizer of the day, the app or software reviews we give out got 10%. Best books to buy, the book reviews came in at 13%. And today's special, the featured guest interview got 22%. And the top vote getter was Q&A. Answering learners' questions got 45% of the vote. That's almost half of those responding choosing the Q&A. And this is great news since we just started a forum for Q&A. That's part of the Go-Getters membership. And we've got a team of folks answering questions from users. And there are conversations in there with threads around hot topics. And we'll touch on those topics today and in every episode now that we've heard from our listeners. And we'll spend more time wrestling with issues that come up in the process improvement world. What do you think, Tracy?
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks for everybody that participated in the poll, because we're always looking to improve. And that means we want to make sure we have a lineup that people like and want. So we really appreciate it. But I'm really shocked that In the News came in dead last. Like, I love to hear about people implementing process improvement all over the world and all over different kinds of industries. But I guess if I had to pick only one, that would be tough.
It would be tough. And I think people don't know that because of In the News, we've found really cool people like, Kamaljit Jackson, who's Wonder Woman of Quality this month. She's from the Unified School District of Racine in Wisconsin. Kelly Wheeler, that trombone playing black belt from the Army Medical in Hawaii. Like, just great people that came through those In the News segments. So I don't think people necessarily connect that.
Well, thank you for that. More to come, and we'll be making changes as a result of that. And as Elizabeth said, we've got a new Go-Getter forum, and you can definitely participate. If you want to get more Q&A, you can ask the questions, or you can even respond with answers. Next month's poll actually addresses a change management question. The question is, what is your most effective method of managing the people side of process change? A, I include them on process walks. B, I include key stakeholders on my team. C, I send out frequent updates on the improvement effort. D, I ask for feedback on the improvement effort. Or E, I share some success stories and project results. Again, we know you might choose more than one method, but what is your most effective method of the ones we mentioned? Enter your vote and we'll discuss it next month.
I'm Elizabeth Swan, and you're listening to the Just in Time Cafe podcast. We'd love your feedback. Please leave us a review on iTunes or our website, and don't forget to subscribe.
Up next, it's in the news.
Tracy, we are finally going to Japan.
I am so excited. That's why this is big news, because we get to finally go to Japan. We're going to go on a trip coordinated by Lean thought leader Katie Anderson, and here's some of what's on the trip. We get to spend some special time with Isao Yoshino. He won't be just giving lectures, but we'll be joining the trip for at least 3 days, and maybe more, depending on his schedule. So that means we get one-on-one time talking with John Shook's mentor over meals and on the bus. Man, he's going to be so sick of us.
I can just see us. We're going to flank him. We're going to be on either side of him in a bus seat. So, and what do you think about this? What do you think about what we did? We get to meet Noriko Ogura, an amazing female business leader, and it's really rare in Japan to have a female executive. And she kind of sounds like a Wonder Woman of quality, don't you think?
Definitely.
We will visit an elementary school and interact with the children during their lunch and their cleaning time. Katie mentioned that they have what's called a deep regret for waste. It's such a particular phrase. And I like that expression, and I love what it tells me. And I'm really fascinated to see how does that manifest with kids. Like, that is something every American parent would love to have happen in the U.S.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the kind of the old saying, right? If you want people to do something, you teach them while they're young.
Yeah. Katie also makes a great point that Japanese culture is not synonymous with lean. So we'll also spend a lot of time learning about Japanese culture.
There's a number of factory tours lined up, as well as a hospital. We will spend time in the special town of Ishikaga, where Agura Metal is based. We'll be visiting the oldest school in Japan, built in Ashikaga. It's like a temple built in 1400s. We will have lunch at Cocoa Winery, a special place based on the purpose of making great wine and developing mentally disabled people into productive citizens and employees. We might be staying at a Japanese ryokan hotel in the Ashikaga area on Thursday night, so we could get the full Japanese experience. And depending on our timing, we may be visiting the town that makes Daruma dolls and see Monozukuri in action, the art of making things. We're going to be visiting the famous Ashikaga Flower Park to see the wisteria. It will be May. Blossoms are out. There are only 4 slots left, so sign up soon. Come on this Japan study trip with me and Elizabeth, because it will be fun.
We'll make it fun. I'm sure it has nothing to do with us. It'll be fun regardless.
I'm Tracy O'Rourke, and you're listening to the Just in Time Cafe podcast. In a short while, we'll get to hear my interview with Moshgan Amini, Director of Process Management and Continuous Improvement at UC San Diego. Next up, it's a question from one of our learners. So this question deals with the foreign nature of Lean Six Sigma, right, Elizabeth?
It does. The question in the forum was, do you have suggestions on engaging other management team members to utilize Lean Six Sigma in a non-Lean Six Sigma culture? And we had an enlightening post from John Carlin. He's RNC NIC, CQPA, and LSSGB. And I want to take a moment to unpack those acronyms because they're important. RNC NIC means he's a registered nurse trained in neonatal care. CQPA means he's a certified quality process analyst. And LSSGB means he's a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt. And my immediate thought is that Oklahoma University Hospital is so lucky to have someone like John. He gave credit to Dr. Richard Atkins, a doctor at Oklahoma University Medicine, for some of the ideas he put out there. He had lunch with this doctor and had 3 interesting points. He thought one thing to do is start the enculturation and education process before people even get into the workforce. And the way to do that is basically put a suggestion in job descriptions. So if you're looking for a registered nurse, you could say, obviously, you've got to be a certified registered nurse, and that it would be helpful if you had some process improvement experience. If you were even a green belt or yellow belt or had some lean experience. The second one was slowly introducing the tools and ideas, the terminology of Lean Six Sigma without revealing a source first. And that's something I agree with, because I know that language can be off-putting. When people hear a Gemba walk and they're immediately having to think, well, what is Gemba? And people will explain that to them. But the initial hearing of it is a little off-putting because you realize it's foreign. And now I'm hearing a foreign language. And the foreignness can come in other words like SIPOC or VOC or acronyms that, people don't know what they mean. So keeping that out of the discussion and say, hey, we're going to go on a process walk. That's something you and I believe in wholeheartedly. The other one is coaching and mentorship. So be the guiding person for those looking to improve themselves and desiring to take the next step in their development. And that just means keeping your eye out for people that look like they're ready to learn, they're hungry for information, they want to try something new. And you could be the coach and the mentor. And that's another really nice way to sort of bring it into a culture. So 3 nice ideas, thanks to John Carlin for his contribution in the forum. So Tracy, what do you think? What are some ideas you've got?
Yeah, it's a tough question. How do we engage other management team members to utilize Lean Six Sigma in a non-LSS culture? That could be tough and really not a great position to be in, especially if you're excited about Lean Six Sigma and developing a culture of process improvement, and other management team members are not necessarily on board yet. So a couple of suggestions I have would be tie Lean Six Sigma initiatives around some of the strategic goals of an organization. Most management team members are going to have some sort of accountability and responsibility to achieving strategic goals for the organization. And sometimes they don't make the connection that Lean Six Sigma can actually help with some of those. So it could be a strategic goal around better customer service or improving how we treat our customers. Well, Lean Six Sigma fits right into that. Or it could be a strategic goal just around operational excellence. Be excellent in how we perform and improve our processes operationally. So that is a shoe-in for Lean Six Sigma. So I think pointing out where Lean Six Sigma can help other management team members achieve some of their goals that they're going to be responsible for could be a huge hit. And then they can express often I see people express much more interest in it because they now see how it can help them. So that's one. I would also say that you could help inspire a shared vision. How can Lean Six Sigma help the organization become a better place to work instead of people currently jumping to solution and blaming others for mistakes? If the vision of the future is that we really want to make database decisions, we want to find root cause, we don't want to just implement random solutions, and we want a culture of fixing processes instead of blaming people, that's a great vision to have for the future. And Lean Six Sigma can help achieve some of that. And then finally, I would say share success stories and project results. Unfortunately, management team, they typically have so much on their plates. They really don't want to exert any additional effort if they don't think it's going to work. And if it's amorphous and they don't really have an idea of how it could work for them, I think they get really blocked in their thinking and wanting to embrace something new. So show them the results. Seeing is believing, and often we could see people come on board with something like that. So those are my 2 cents for the same question.
It's worth more than 2 cents, Tracy. I like that. Thank you. It's time to announce the coupon code.
This code is for 20% off any of our Lean Six Sigma training and certification courses, including white, yellow, green, and black belt and lean training.
If you've just joined us at the Just in Time Cafe, use coupon code 20MATCHA. That's 20MATCHA during checkout. Be sure to use it soon since the coupon is going to expire on the 15th of March. Coming up next, it's today's special. Tracy, can you give us a little preview of your interview with Mojgan Amini?
Yes, I have had the pleasure of working with Mojgan because I'm an instructor at UC San Diego in the Greenbelt, and she has sent many of her people through the Greenbelt program. She's also spearheading this effort at UC San Diego in a great way. She helps to promote special events like the Process Palooza, which you're going to hear about in the interview. And she really is a joy and a pleasure. I'm sure that the reason why they are so successful implementing lean and process improvement at UC San Diego is primarily because of her efforts there. So I'm really excited. I think you're going to really enjoy the interview.
I wish I could go to those Process Paloozas. They look like a blast.
They are so much fun. Okay, I'd like to welcome our guest for today's special, Mojgan Amini. Mojgan is the Director of Process Management and Continuous Improvement at UC San Diego's IT Services. She holds an MS in Computer Science and a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. She has been instrumental in launching several campus-wide process improvement programs, namely the Business Excellence Community of Practice, Lean Bench, and Process Palooza, which won the Sauder Award for Innovation. So I'm anxious to talk with her about that. Mojgan, how are you today?
I'm doing great. It's nice to speak with you.
Yes, thanks for coming to the cafe. I'm so excited to talk with you about what you guys are doing at UC San Diego. So I have, let me just tell my audience a little bit about UC San Diego. If they haven't heard about UC San Diego, I'd be surprised. It is currently ranked the 15th best university in the world in 2017. It was ranked that, and also named the world's 4th best public college, which is pretty amazing. And last year, Money Magazine ranked UC San Diego as the 2nd best university in the US after Princeton, beating Harvard, Stanford, and Yale. Well, how does that feel? That must be feeling pretty good.
It feels great every day. I feel that ranking in my blood while I work here.
So Mojgan, how long have you been with UC San Diego?
I've been with UC San Diego for 13 years, just a little bit over 13 years, in 5 or 6 different capacities, positions, and while the university has been growing.
Yes. And how long have you been in the IT services area?
So I've been in the IT services area all 13 years. That's my background. But the IT department and the services look nothing like they did 13 years ago. That's why I'm still here. It's exciting. All the changes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And what I'm really anxious to talk with you about is it seems that UC San Diego is not only provides the services, the courses of Lean Six Sigma training, but there's a massive effort to bring Lean Six Sigma to UCSD staff and apply Lean Six Sigma principles and techniques to UC San Diego processes. And so a total of 1,800 people have been trained overall at UC San Diego, and 400 of those are people from the IT group. And so tell us a little bit about how that effort got started.
Oh, I would love to. It's a fun story. A lot of people don't like change, but we're living it every day, and that's what's caused this whole shift that you're talking about with the training and selecting Lean Six Sigma as the methodology of choice. So about 2.5 years ago, there was an initiative at the highest level of our campus to bring together several IT units that were independent across the university and create a more centralized operation of delivering services to the campus, to the students, to the faculty, and beyond. So there was I guess you could call it a merger, the unification of 8 units that came together to create the IT services department where I sit today. So as you can imagine, 8 units coming together with 8 different cultures, 8 different tool sets, 8 different ways of working together, there was a big need to standardize, bring efficiencies into place, really get a handle of the services we were providing. And so we thought the one thing that we need to all converge on is this notion of efficiency and standardization, and really following best practice for that. So we selected Lean Six Sigma as our methodology of choice, and really right there on the spot decided that 100% of our staff will be trained in the basics of Lean Six Sigma, thinking differently, bringing change, just looking at good change to bring into our operations. And that was the first step that led to where we are today, 2.5 years later.
So when you got started on that, what was the reaction of people in IT with this sort of an effort or push to get everybody trained and start implementing it? Were people excited? Were they afraid?
I laugh because I look back and see how far we've come. Most people were afraid. Most people were reluctant. Most people were anxious, and there was a sense of anxiety of what this is. IT folks like to solve the problem. They like to just roll up their sleeves and fix what's broken. And Lean Six Sigma kind of forces you to think differently, stop, step back and really define what's going on. So there was no doubt a lot of resistance, but we had a typical range of desire and engagement. So we did have the first few groups who went through the training. So we trained people, 40 people at a time in one training session, very interactive yellow belt training. Mm-hmm. So the first batches of 40 were the ones who raised their hand and wanted to be there, and they were getting a lot out of it. So there was a lot going on. Then we went through the process of, going group by group, putting out status reports of who hasn't been trained, and going through the rest. And so then once we got through, it was interesting to see the popcorn starting to pop, the kernels starting to pop. I was at every single one of the 11 trainings that we held. Mm-hmm. And they're day-long trainings, once every couple of weeks. By the end, the last couple of classes, we had the folks who were kind of hiding in the corners, didn't want to be there. They had heard about it from their colleagues, and they're showing up. And every single class, there were light bulbs going off. There were still people who kind of went back to do what they were doing, but it was a great transformation of our culture that became one of the pillars that we defined as at our department, where it's all about thinking like an entrepreneur, thinking differently, and really questioning the way things have been. So it really shifted and formed the culture in our organization.
Well, I think what's really interesting about talking with you, Moskan, is you're in IT, and what company doesn't have IT? And I have to be honest, I have seen in some organizations where IT is sometimes the last group to to get on board with an initiative like this, because they sort of say, well, we really focus on helping other people and our processes don't need help. And so what would you say to that? If you had an IT leader listening to this podcast, what would you say was your way to get people on board with, no, this is good and this does apply? Is there anything any advice you would share?
Absolutely. I think the methodology itself kind of lends itself to being really objective and looking at facts and not getting tied up in emotions and how people work and personalities. So I think that works really well with IT. We want the data, we want the facts, we want to make decisions based on that. So that was one of the key points of getting people on board. Once we get to a place where we're mapping out a process and it's staring people in their face, it's really easy to see, oh yes, there's room for improvement. If your head's down, just working day to day, it's hard to see that. So I think the key is to get it out of people's heads and really out there visually. The data speaks for itself. The flow charts speak for themselves. So I think my biggest advice would be to really exercise just a little piece of the methodology. Just take it and put it out, visualize the data, visualize the flow, and you could see that it does apply to IT processes just like it would apply to business processes.
Yes, I agree. And I have had the pleasure really of seeing some of these projects come to fruition because a lot of them were coming to my class since I teach at UC San Diego. And so I had a lot of people from IT coming in there, which was wonderful to see. And they had some really good projects. And it was even the IT. So a big one that I saw coming through was onboarding. So onboarding new employees and getting them set up with IT equipment, and making sure that they had everything they needed on their very first day of employment. And so that's a big one. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen onboarding as a process improvement opportunity or project that's brought to class because it's just painful. It's painful and people don't like it. And so that's good. And then I've also seen just, lead time responses. So how do we reduce it so we can respond more quickly to customer inquiries or to broken, items, those kinds of things. So lots of different kinds of projects that have come out, and it's been really, really nice to see.
Yes, on that note, I have to agree. Even myself, when I went through the Black Belt project, it was hard to think of a process, an IT process, a true IT process when you're thinking, oh, is this, the manufacturing realm where Lean Six Sigma is applied? But no, once you get past that, and I think that the instructors help a lot to get you to a point where even a process of data moving around or systems going down and being worked on and bring back up, like the hardcore technology, that can be broken down into processes and that could be measured the same way. So I think it opened a floodgate for folks to understand, oh yes, it could apply to IT. And we've had several kind of positions just saved because we didn't have to go out and hire people. We reallocated the bandwidth that was saved by doing some of these projects to create new roles. We have people working on and providing better services, customer service, because they're not spread out as much. So a lot has come out of putting it into practice within our own organization.
That's exciting. And so it sounds to me like you actually have a lot of other things that you're doing to help promote and build a community of process improvement. So what did you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about the Business Excellence Community of Practice or the Lean Bench and tell some of our audience about what are some of those programs?
Sure. I think they go hand in hand. So I just want to start by saying IT would not exist without the business of the campus. So people out there teaching, people out there doing research, people out there managing programs and, hospital patient care, we wouldn't exist on our own. We're only there to provide services to make those business processes happen, right? So we bring technology to the table. Sometimes we're asked to do magic things like this, make this process better, bring in a shiny tool and you'll solve all our problems. But where we've seen that connection work best is if the process itself is already lean and efficient, then it makes implementing a technical solution or an automated solution really easy. We don't have to break the tool to make it work with the process. So it is actually in our best interest to be at the table when we're looking at business processes. Once the processes are lean, then it makes the implementation of anything technical much easier. So that's why we wanted to be part of the conversation. So the Business Excellence Community of Practice, Lean Bench, and we'll talk about Palooza later, they basically all started about the same time. So towards the end of 2017 was when we started planting some seeds and seeing like what would grow. we knew that IT wanted to really work hand in hand with the business because that's what's running the university. And we saw three things that went hand in hand, three pillars that we defined for the business excellence community practice. One was project management. So there's all this work going on, but we need to make sure the project's going from beginning to end, really allocated time for process improvement, not just throwing technology at a broken process. So project management, process improvement, and what we call organizational change management, because process improvement is all about change and people are resistant to change. So those three pillars and core functions we put together, and we said all of these three together, if we can have people come together, share experiences, share practices, best practices, have workshops, we'll have a community that is on the same page. So that's where the business excellence community practice started. We haven't missed a month of workshops. We have workshops every single month. We have mentorship programs now. We have lots of community engagement going on. We have about 200, or maybe it's a little bit over 200 people who have just self-volunteered to be part of this community and word of mouth. And so that's a community that has brought together this discussion around the area of process improvement and how it affects all of our projects that are going on. So then Lean Bench is an interesting group that came out of an initiative that we're doing across the campus. So the campus, as you mentioned, is highly ranked. It's top ranked, and it's continuing to grow and transform. It's transforming the way we teach, we do research, we do business, we provide services, but it's really transforming our impact globally because we're producing, students and knowledge that's going out into the world. Our chancellor, Pradeep Khosla, has this vision of continuing to grow and transform the campus. And so when we look at that, we really have to allow for this to happen. We need to come up with the bandwidth that's required to let this growth happen. We can't just continue to throw people at processes in order for them to be more scalable. Mm-hmm. So we have a big initiative called it's called the Enterprise Systems Renewal, and that is touching every single business process and business system across the campus. So think of things like our financial information system, our payroll, our HR systems, our student systems, our research systems, and the list goes on. And typically in a university, one of these would be chosen for a refresh or a renewal or replacement. And it's something that takes years and years to do because it touches so many things. It's people's paychecks. We decided that this is the time to do all of them at the same time. And and so we said the only way it's going to be successful and it's going to be rolled out is if we engage people who own the business processes, who run the business processes, and who can look and think differently about how the processes are run. Because these processes and some of our systems were put in place 30 years ago, mm-hmm. and they've just continued on. And so we want fresh eyes looking and reviewing and renewing and make sure the processes are lean so that we can bring in new technologies. So we looked at all of these projects and we said, wow, we're going to need an army of lean experts, Lean Six experts to help do all of this. We need some neutral folks coming in to facilitate. And then we thought about, and you mentioned this, we have, at that point, we said, wow, we have like 1,500 folks who've been exposed to Lean Six Sigma through one training or another. Why can't we tap into that knowledge? And so we created this very exclusive program that's, and it's selective, folks who have high-level experience with Lean Six Sigma. They could be sitting and working in any corner of the university, but they're willing to bring their expertise to the table and help with this massive systems renewal, enterprise systems renewal that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So we launched the program. It's application-based. So you apply for it, you get support from your supervisor, and you dedicate about 20% of your time. So you keep your day job. So if I'm working in the research administration realm, I keep my day job. I still do that. But then 20% of my time, I could be called in to help with a facilitation of process review and process improvement recommendation for a totally different business realm.
So
Yes,
what I love about that is that it's a way to leverage people that have gone through training and they still get more experience with process improvement. So besides just their own projects that hopefully they continue to do, they could be involved in other work, larger, in a different area even, because I think it just at least supports the idea that really if you have the knowledge, you can be useful in other areas just with that knowledge.
That's exactly right. And we're seeing that. We're seeing it multiply because they're also taking it back to their own department. what they experienced and the wins they gained, and they're taking it back and implementing it in their own department. So it's a win-win all around.
Yeah, that's great.
And so we're in our second year. We just launched and selected the second cohort for Lean Bench, and we're about to kick off lots more process reviews. We identified 195 processes last year, and we worked on a big majority of those and came up with good improvements across the university.
That's impressive.
It's large.
So the last thing I wanted to share or talk with you about is this other thing called with a colorful name, a Process Palooza. So this is an event that showcases process improvement using Lean Six Sigma, continuous improvement practices. It's kind of a competition that people can sign up to compete. 6 teams compete on, fixing a process, but it's also like a trade show as well. And then there's some really impressive speakers from UC San Diego as well. And so I would love to hear, and of course I know about it because I was an MC for the Process Palooza, and I was floored at the success of this event. This is your second annual one. Last year you had about 400 attendees. This year you had about 1,000 attendees, and you gave away $14,000 in raffle prizes that were donated mostly, which is pretty amazing. So tell us a little bit about this idea of Process Palooza and what you were hoping you would get out of this running this event.
Fantastic. I was smiling just listening to you describe it. So our main goal, the first time around in 2017, our main goal was to connect people to this thing called Lean Six Sigma. So it was to bring awareness and kind of knowledge about this methodology. We did have a lot of people who we thought would be great kind of people who could spearhead change, but they weren't on the same page as far as how we're thinking through things. So that was our first goal, is to how do we bring this way of thinking and this way of process improvement to the masses across the university. Process improvement, process mapping, you start talking about that, some people's eyes roll back and get glazed over, and it's not really fun. So we wanted to make sure we bring fun into the picture. And that's where exactly what you said happened, is we decided to take real business processes that needed help, that needed improvement, that people would agree, yes, this is a pain point in my day, and really shine a spotlight and make it a competition. And it's a real business process. It's not simulation. It's not made up. It's not something small. So that competition part of it, competition always gets the blood flowing. So the exciting part was getting people involved in a way that they weren't realizing they were learning about Lean Six Sigma. So fixing a process, suggesting improvements, getting prizes. We had judges walking around looking for certain things, and rating and ranking people and awarding people. But really, at the end of the day, we were looking for real, tangible recommendations for improvements that these processes could actually implement in our campus. And that's where it brought the fun back to reality, is we can have fun learning about Lean Six Sigma and winning prizes, but actually it would get implemented and show the savings. We're still seeing the implementation and savings of our first couple of processes, and they had to do with parking, everybody's favorite thing to hate, finding parking on the campus and finding alternative modes of transportation. The other one was about travel planning and reconciliation and all the red tape that you have to go through and hoops you have to jump through, and improving those. This year we had two more processes, and it was about health and patient care and getting the flow of patients through the door and delivering great customer service in our medical centers. And we had, again, another area within transportation and fleet services. So you could see the real processes and making improvements. So the fun part was the Palooza. And what ended up happening between the first time we ran Process Palooza and the second time, there was a lot of transformation about the ultimate goal. So we went beyond Lean Six Sigma. We became about change and about the culture and the mindset of always thinking about changing and continuous improvement and thinking differently, thinking about efficiency, questioning how we do things and doing it in a way that's really productive. So the second Palooza that we had was a lot more about changes all around and organizational management of change, how we get people, kind of the emotional side of change. A lot of systems were there represented, and as you said, the speakers represented the entire university. So we had, our chancellor couldn't be there, but if he were in town, he wanted to be there. But that's the highest level. And we had our executive vice chancellor really touting this and supporting everyone and empowering them, bring good change to the university. And of course, prizes, fun, colors, confetti, all of that helped.
It's a lot. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of energy in the room, and people seem to be very engaged and they very much enjoyed the event. So I'm really looking forward to next year's event as well. But I also know that you, because of the Process Palooza, your organization won the UC-wide Larry L. Sauter Golden Award for Innovation in Information Technology, which is a very coveted award in the IT community across the UC system. And it recognizes innovative deployments in support of the university's mission. And only 3 projects are selected from all UC institutions, labs, and health systems. And your team, your efforts with Process Palooza won it. So congratulations. How did that feel?
Thank you. Thank you very much. It felt fantastic, and it still does. It really feels amazing to get recognized and awarded for innovation in this realm, because I've been in IT, like I said, with the UC system for 13 years, and I see every year the projects that get this award, and they're really technical implementations. A lot of innovation goes on. There's research, and it's very hardcore tech, in my opinion. This one is about people. It's about touching everything across our university, and to me it breaks the wall of IT, just IT and just the technology. It really connects everyone, and that's why I was proud to have it be selected, because it showed that an innovation and an IT award can really be rewarded for something that goes beyond IT, and it really touches the university. So that was what I was proud of.
Well, I definitely think that is something to be proud of. So congratulations. That's exciting. I can't believe we're out of time already at the cafe. I think I already asked you if you had any advice for anybody in IT. What about other leaders in process improvement? If you had a warning or a suggestion or a recommendation to people that are trying to lead process improvement, what would it be?
One thing for sure, and I don't know if this is advice, but the support from the top is essential. Making sure that's there will make life easier for rolling out a program, rolling out training, rolling out initiatives, rolling out actually implementing process improvement program. So that would be my number one. Whatever folks can do to get that support and that understanding of what the value is would be my first. The second is really to have fun with it, to show any wins, little, medium, big. It doesn't have to be large numbers, but keep the wins like in front of people. It's contagious. People can say, I can do that too. That was awesome. So I think those would be my top two, is the continuous on the horizon. People see it, they witness it, they feel it, and then, of course, the top support.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Moskan, for coming to the cafe and sharing your story and all of the things you're doing to make process improvement successful at UC San Diego. If someone wanted to get in touch with you, how might they get in touch with you? I think you're on LinkedIn, aren't you?
I'm absolutely on LinkedIn. Mojgan Amini. I don't think there are many Mojgan Amini.
That's MOJGANAMINI, right? AMINI. Yes.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Moskan. Thanks for coming to the cafe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Take care.
Please join us for my next webinar, How Leaders Support a Culture of Process Improvement, on Thursday, February 28th at 11 a.m. Pacific. Also be sure to check out this month's Wonder Woman of Quality, the amazing Kamaljit Jackson of the Racine Unified School District. And come join us in Japan this May. There's a few slots left, so don't wait.
Join us next episode when the author Karen Ross visits us again, and we'll discuss her new book on coaching for creativity and service excellence.
It's always great to hang out with our listeners at the Just in Time Cafe.
See you in 2 weeks.